everybody. Welcome back to Ghostwood, the Twin Peaks podcast. Your one-stop shopping for trying to figure out what the hell David Lynch and Mark Frost are talking about. I'm Charles Skaggs, of course. With me is the ever-lovely, ever-incredible Xan Sprouse.
Hello, everyone.
So, cheers to Xan, as always.
Thank you, Charles.
You're welcome. And you're looking forward to sifting through this quagmire of weirdness that has been thrust willingly upon us.
Well, I'm already crying because we have something else we have to talk about first.
Right. Do you want to talk about that first and get it out of the way? And so
yes,
we can move
do.
on. Okay, so we can hopefully talk about something more upbeat.
Yes, I do. And I feel very, very guilty about this because last week when we were recording our podcast, we were talking about the possibility of a season 4.
Right.
And you made the comment that, you know, David Lynch needs to hurry up. He's 71, probably going to want to retire. And then I made the comment,
right.
More importantly, Harry Dean Stanton is 91. And Harry Dean Stanton passed away the very next day.
Yeah, well, I don't think that was you.
I don't think it was me either, but when I think about the timing, I feel like I was in very bad taste.
No, because you had no idea of knowing, because Harry Dean Stanton was that kind of guy that you thought that might last at least till 100 for all you knew.
Harry Dean Stanton was going to be battling Betty White for the most awesome,
exactly,
you know, septuagenarian. Septuagenarian's 70.
I mean, he seemed well enough that
centurion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he was almost to a centennial. And,
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, he's like Betty White. You know, he was still active. I mean, he was still filming Twin Peaks recently.
He just gets more and more awesome.
Right, exactly. So you know, I mean, he was still able to play his guitar. So it's not like so it's not like he was feeble.
No, absolutely not.
Or an invalid.
You know, he was a little bit thin and a little bit saggy, but who isn't? Well, I'm saggy, but I'm not thin.
Especially at 91, for crying out loud.
91, exactly.
I wish I could look good at 91. Hell, I wish I could look that good at 48.
I know. I wish I could be on that trajectory, you know, just to look as good as Harry Dean Stanton did when he was 91.
Yeah, so
yes, we lost Harry Dean Stanton. Yep. And I don't know why it's so sad for me. I really loved Harry Dean Stanton. He was one of those character actors. I think it was the New York Times that said character actor turned star.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was the AV Club. I forget who it was. But he was really great. And if you go back and I was watching some of the extra features on Repo Man, which was my memorial right. Harry Stanton viewing, which
that was the first movie that I really got to appreciate him in, because it was such a cult classic. Right.
For me, it's always been Alien.
That too.
He's so good in that, and it's so scary because, you know, he's the first one to go
right
after they realize that this is not something the size of a cat anymore.
Yeah,
this thing is gigantic. So it's very, very terrifying.
Here, kitty.
Oh, just him making those little cat noises, and then his screaming.
He's just letting that rainwater come down on his cap, and it was a great.
And
moment.
then there's Chris and I were watching the director's cut, and there's a scene where the alien is sort of swinging from some of those chains, and Chris was like, "Wow, I think that's new because that's really obvious," and I was like, I did not even notice that thing was there. And they do such a good job in that movie of making that alien look like the innards of the Nostromo.
Well, I think the remastering helped because, you can, and especially being in high def, if you're watching it that way, you can see a lot more, you know, like, he's kind of lurking in the background. You notice him more.
Right, and in the very last, spoiler alert, which there are no spoiler alerts for movies that have been out for almost 40 years, but at the very end when Ripley is in the escape pod and he's in the inner workings of the escape pod, when you know he's there, you can see him.
Yes.
But if you're not looking for him, he just looks like any of the other piping and ductwork. So, and that was the scene. Something is lit off to the left, and that's where my eye went. And off to the right, the alien's just standing. He's not standing there. He's hanging from some chains, just swinging. And I was like, wow, I did not even notice that. But yeah, so for me, it was.
Which shows you a great movie, how great of a movie it is, because you pick up something that maybe you may have watched the movie like dozens of times, and then you still find something new to appreciate about it.
Exactly. And Alien is, I've said before that Alien's the perfect movie. It has, it makes sense. It's dirty.
Right.
So many science fiction movies are so clean and stark
And sterile.
and sterile. Yeah. And these
Yeah.
are people that have been in space mining ore on a ship that may or may not be its first voyage or its last voyage. I mean, this is going to be a dirty, well used ship. And it looks
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah, these are like almost like they're just space cargo haulers.
Right. Right, exactly. And so yeah, Aliens just I could do an entire hour on
Yeah, he
Aliens.
has this
So
gritty, yeah, it's just
yeah.
it's
But so I
masterful.
watched Repo Man, which
Right.
is Emilio Estevez's best movie, in my opinion. I like the Breakfast Club is very good,
Right.
but this is Emilio Estevez's best movie, I think. And on the extra features of the Criterion version of that is an interview with Harry Dean Stanton, and he was talking about all of the directors he's worked with, and he's one of those characters that he's a fabulous character actor that you go, oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Harry Dean Stanton was in X, Y, and Z, and Harry Dean Stanton was in The Godfather
Well,
trilogy. He was in the second one, and he was in an episode of Alfred Hitchcock Presents. So he's worked with Alfred Hitchcock, Ridley Scott, David Lynch, Francis Ford Coppola, just like everybody, like
yeah,
every major director that you can think of has worked with Harry Dean Stanton.
in preparation for this, I went and printed off his entire IMDb page.
How many pages did it
And
come out to be?
you know what? 10 pages.
Yeah, it's like 198 listings
And
or
and
something.
and if
Crazy.
you can look at this, obviously you listeners out there in podcast land cannot see this, but if I hold
Well, they
this,
put
if you're
you
going to hold
see,
this up, this is not like big. This is not a big font.
no, this is, and for those of you kids out there, the IMDb is on the internet now. You don't have to get the hard copy.
Exactly. But here's my point. I printed off because it's easier for me than flipping through web pages as we're talking.
Right. And as we're talking,
And I can
since we do
highlight
this,
stuff and mark it up and whatever.
and
So
since we do this through an internet connection, it's easier that we don't have
yeah,
something buffering while we're talking.
exactly,
It makes
exactly.
for a better sound.
Yeah. So yeah, we don't have that. Yeah, chewing up the bandwidth.
Right.
But yeah, obviously, in addition to Twin Peaks, if you want to run these down, some of the highlights. Obviously, you played Carl Rod in Twin Peaks and Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me, where we were introduced to him in the Twin Peaks universe. He's notable, like he played the security guard in the Avengers
Yes.
in this great scene where, if you remember, they had Mark Ruffalo's Bruce Banner had the Hulk had just crashed into this like abandoned factory or whatever, this abandoned warehouse, crashes into it. Bruce Banner, of course, is naked, is not
Uh-huh.
wearing clothes, and Harry Dean Stanton's character, the security guard, comes up and just talks about you, son, have a condition, and and acting like, well, hey, you might want to get that looked at, and of course
Yeah.
Banner's just like, yep, yeah, I think I'm aware of
Yeah.
that. Thank you very much.
That's putting it lightly. What Bruce Banner has.
But it's such a great moment.
It is a great moment, and he's in everything. He's Molly Ringwald's dad in Pretty in Pink.
Yep,
That's not exactly what you would think of as a Harry Dean Stanton movie, but it is.
yep. And of course, he worked with David Lynch in other films.
Hmm.
He played Freddie Howard in Inland Empire
Yep.
in 2006. He played Lyle in The Straight Story
Yes.
in '99. And he was Johnny Farragut in Wild at Heart.
Hmm.
So, which I think was his first film with
I believe that is his first David Lynch.
first David Lynch film. Yeah. So that's cool. He was in Twister. He played the role of Cleveland. He was in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. He played the judge.
Mm-hmm.
He's in The Green Mile. He played Toot Toot.
Walking the mile, walking the mile, walking the mile.
Yep.
Yep.
So lots of great stuff. Obviously, Brett. Alien. He was an alien as Brett. He was
Mm-hmm.
Brain in Escape from New York. John Carpenter's Escape from New York.
Yes.
So, which
Yes,
was a
that's
great,
right.
which was a great role. That's one of my favorites because I'm a big Escape from New York fan.
Mm-hmm.
And just
He is not,
and
however,
a ton of westerns.
ton of westerns. Yes, in Escape from New York, he's a lot of things, but he is not Duke of New York.
Right, exactly. Exactly. And then, of course, he was in The Godfather Part 2. You mentioned Francis Ford Coppola. He
Yep.
plays an FBI guy,
Mm-hmm.
FBI man number one. They couldn't even bother to name him, but that's okay.
Okay, do you remember everybody's name in the, okay, there's Clemenza,
Yeah.
and there's Tessio, and then there's Paul,
there's Fredo.
and they name the other goons. You don't know who they are.
Yeah, exactly. But,
And you only know Paulie because he dies.
Right.
Oh, Paulie, you won't see him no more.
Nope. So, great stuff. Especially after the christening scene.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of cleaned house a little bit.
That cleaned a lot of house. It's
the christening sequence, yeah.
Yes, I'm not a big fan of. Yeah, we were talking the other day, I think, about characters you absolutely love to hate, and I think Carlo is one of those for me.
Right.
If The Godfather's on, I'm like, wait, I just want to see Carlo die. That's all I want. I just wait till. I just want to wait till Carlo dies, or if it's too early in the movie, I'm like, let me just see Sonny beat up Carlo. I just want to watch bad things happen to Carlo.
That's great.
It's like, good for Johnny Russo for being such a horrible, horrible person.
Now I want to watch that now.
Oh yeah, you got it. You just go on YouTube, right? Carlo getting beaten up by Sonny, and then you
nice.
You touch my sister again.
Yeah,
I'll kill you.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, if you are a David Lynch fan and you have not seen Repo Man, I think you would enjoy it.
Yeah, it's definitely in the wheelhouse. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, it's definitely in the wheelhouse. Alex Cox is sort of a punk rock, more comedic version of a David Lynch. Kind of weird, kind of out there, kind of culty, kind of 80s. And Repo Man is an extremely fun movie. It's very, very good.
It is. It's one of those movies, just like a David Lynch film. It's probably best watching it like 1 o'clock in the morning.
Right. When I was watching it, I'm like,
you're just laying there on the couch and nobody else is around and the lights are dark and you just enjoy it.
Right. And it's one of my most often quoted movies too. There's a scene where Emilio Estevez is eating food from a can. And the can just says food. It's like a generic, everything in the movie is generic with just that white with blue label. And it just says food. And his mother says to him, put it on a plate, son, you'll enjoy it more. Anytime like Chris goes to take a handful of chips from a bag or something like that, that's what I say that to him. I'm like, put it on a plate, sweetie, you'll enjoy it more.
Nice.
And
that is a great line. I forgot.
I sent a text to a friend of mine telling him that Harry Dean Stanton had died, and I said, guess what I'm watching? And he came back with, goddamn Rodriguez, brother. I mean, he just goes off on that whole thing. So, but yeah, it's quite a fun movie. I highly, highly recommend it. So yes, the loss of Harry Dean Stanton is something major for the world of visual storytelling. Yeah,
we should raise a cup of Good Morning America in his
honor.
America. Good Morning America. And be sure, in honor of Harry Dean Stanton, just why not tomorrow morning just sleep until 9:30.
9:30.
And put a sign that, do not disturb before 9:30.
I am seriously considering putting one of those in my yard just to see if anybody says anything. just painting one up and just putting it right in the yard.
Oh, it's just Xan being Xan again.
Never before 9:30 ever.
You're right.
Thank you, Carl. Sorry to wake you.
Yeah, you got to write that ever in big block letters.
Yes, exactly.
But it was obviously a big loss. I mean, IMDb, it says like 199 acting credits.
Yeah. Yeah,
which
he
is
has been busy since
so
like the early 60s.
which is a hell of a career.
It's a hell of a career, and it's like the only person that I would put for me in that same echelon would be somebody like a Dick Miller.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I
And
was a fan of Dick Miller's, once because he was on the Flash, the original Flash series.
oh yes, that's right, that's right.
He played
Dick Miller.
Foz Knight.
For those of you who don't know Dick Miller, you actually do. If you were to go and Google Dick Miller and choose
Yeah,
images, you're going to say, "Oh, that guy. He is
right.
in everything." And if
He
you've ever seen anything Roger Corman, Dick Miller's there. Dick Miller
he's a
was
Roger Corman staple.
he was one of the Roger Corman players. So, yeah, Dick Miller for me, I think the first time I ever saw him and really liked him was in Twilight Zone the movie. So, um, yeah, he's been around forever. And if you don't know who he is, yes, you do.
Yeah.
And Harry Dean Stanton, I think for most people was like that. I think for cult fanatics like us,
Yes.
he's a star. But
He's a character actor's character actor.
totally, totally, he's an actor's actor. And like I said, I think Dick Miller is one of the few people in that same vein that has just been around forever and been in everything and is always good in whatever he does.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know if he can play the guitar as well. So.
Yeah, we don't know, but
Yeah.
yeah,
So.
Harry Dean Stanton, obviously a great performance in The Return, and he even
Great
got to play
performance in Fire Walk with Me.
yeah, great performance in Firewalk with Me. So yeah, another big loss. I'm kind of, if we could have a moratorium on Twin Peaks actors dying, that would be awesome.
That'd be awesome. That'd
Yeah,
be awesome.
let's.
And in honor of Carl Rod, for the rest of this month, don't sell your blood for food.
You keep your
He
blood.
doesn't like it.
You keep
You
your
keep
blood.
your blood. I don't want people selling their blood for food. I don't like it.
There you go.
Do you mow lawns around here? Yes, sir. You get paid for that? No, sir.
Awesome.
Oh, such a good guy.
Yeah. And so yeah, we're gonna miss Harry Dean Stanton, but
I miss him already.
thankfully, movies live forever. So
Thankfully, yes.
so
God bless DVDs.
so yeah, so go treat yourself to a Harry Dean Stanton film. Obviously, you can go on IMDb, pull up the list, and
Got a lot to choose
a
from.
lot to choose from. Probably a lot of stuff you haven't seen. So
Or stuff that you've seen and you're like, Harry Dean Stanton was in that? And then you go back and you say, oh, yeah.
yep. So
Because that's what good character actors do.
exactly. So go treat
They're
yourself.
that guy. They're not like, Brad Pitt is so-and-so. It's that guy is this character.
Exactly. All right.
So,
So yeah, sadly we're gonna miss him, but so it's hard to segue from something like that, of course. But we might as well go into our main discussion now, as we, unless there's anything else you want to add about Harry Dean Stanton before we move on.
nope. Let's go into one more depressing thing, which is the beginning of the end for Twin Peaks: The Return.
Yes, yes. Or is it? ... Question mark. All right.
So many things so many possibilities, so many
The
questions.
final dossier. Just saying.
Yep.
So, all right.
Halloween, baby.
Halloween. So yes, so we're going to talk about, obviously we're talking about The Return Part 17, the penultimate episode in this David Lynch, Mark Frost saga. And so that, yeah, this aired obviously a couple weeks ago, but but yeah, obviously we're playing catch up because of my vacation. But so hopefully you've watched it by now and can follow along, and maybe you can explain it to us what the hell happened.
Yeah, I need somebody to explain it to me.
All right, so we probably
this first part, we're doing part 1 tonight, and
yes,
this first part makes a little more sense than the second part, but not by much.
it does. Yeah, essentially it wraps up a lot of the mythos storyline.
Right.
And like a lot of the loose ends, basically, a lot of these the various plot lines have been geared toward getting these characters together. And as it turns out, yeah, they gather together at the Twin Peaks Sheriff Station, which is why I wore my Twin Peaks Sheriff's Department shirt in honor of that.
Very nice.
And So we probably should run through this chronologically because I think everybody,
I think so.
I think we'll get lost otherwise because there's just so much going on. So we'll start off this episode following up with the rather shocking events of episode 16, where Gordon Cole, is recovering from the death of Diane's tulpa.
He's getting soft in his old age.
Yes, he is. But, not software it counts.
Nope, not, and especially.
I love that he had to add that into Albert.
Qualify that. He's still keeping those French hookers happy in their career choices, I think.
Exactly. He can admire their shoes
and
all that. So
maybe she wasn't a hooker, but I'm pretty sure she was. Why else?
An escort. In air quotes.
Whatever, semantics.
Semantics is the key word, yeah, obviously. So, hey, it's keeping him spry at least.
Good point.
So Gordon's there with the remainder of the Blue Rose Task Force, Tammy and Albert, and he says he finally reveals one final secret. That years ago, Major Briggs confided to both him and Cooper, telling them about an extreme negative force
called Jaude.
So I'm guessing that's probably spelled Jaodei.
That's an excellent question, but colloquially it's pronounced Judy.
Right.
So we're starting to talk about Judy.
Yeah, we're finally going to talk about Judy. We're not going to leave her out of this, as it turns out. And Gordon Cole tells us that this ancient negative entity. Now, the question is this the experiment that was shown early on in the return?
That is the question. Do we get that answer?
Nope. Nope. Nopety, nope.
Nopety, nope.
Yeah, so, so Albert and Tammy, of course, take this in stride and go, that's interesting. So at that point, those wacky Las Vegas FBI guys call Gordon.
Yes.
Wilson! And they're there to talk about Dougie. And then Bushnell Mullins kind of grabs the phone to speak to Gordon Cole because, if you remember, Cooper told him to deliver a message to Gordon Cole.
Yes.
So essentially he fills Gordon in that, hey, Dougie is headed to Twin Peaks.
Right.
And of course, Gordon puts two and two together and he says, Dougie is Cooper? And he says, what does he say? How the hell is this?
How the hell does this happen?
Yeah, so.
Right, so finally the FBI is starting to figure out what the hell is going on.
Yes.
So,
they're probably, ironically, they're the last ones to figure this out.
They are the last ones, and I blame Las Vegas.
Yep.
Because if they had figured this out, this would have been like 6 episodes ago.
Yeah, it basically did kind of throw them a curveball.
Right.
And almost like it was like the red herring. That was all he had to do. All he had to do was just wait and wait for Cooper to show up at the Twin Peaks Sheriff's Station.
Actually, I blame the Las Vegas Police Department who just threw away the fingerprints.
That's true. That's true.
Frankly, though, the FBI should have flagged those fingerprints the way they flagged Major Briggs' fingerprints.
Those damn Fuscos.
Oh, those Fuscos. Such bad cops.
pretty much. Like Larry Moe Curly. Curly, those Fuscos. Yeah. Bad cops. Not as bad as Chad, but...
Bad cops. No one's as bad as Chad.
Yeah.
Chad's terrible.
Chad's horrible. So, speaking of Chad... Yeah. So Chad, we go to Twin Peaks, kind of catch up briefly on Chad. He's trying to make a break for it from the cell that he's in, but
He's like all like, get smart with like a key in his shoe and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, eventually you find out. Well, first he tries it, and then that drunk Billy guy wakes up and
Mm-hmm.
and starts repeating.
Drooly McBlody face.
Yeah, Drooly McBloodyface. Thank you.
That's his
Um,
name.
so yeah, and of course Nido starts squawking or whatever she's doing,
Mm-hmm.
and then we
Yep.
kind of pick back up with Chad because Chad, yeah, he apparently he's watched a lot of Get Smart, as you said,
Mm-hmm.
and he has the old duplicate key in the shoe trick,
Yes, he does.
and
He
so
just pulls back. I don't know if he's Get Smart or if he's James
there's
Bond in Goldfinger.
yeah,
He
exactly,
pulls back the shoe heel and there's a key inside.
yeah. So
So
yeah, exactly. It wasn't a little transponder, and it wasn't a there wasn't a phone in there. But
what's the telephone? Yeah.
how
What was
hilarious
Get
would that
Smart's
would have been, though?
actual?
What?
What was his first name? His last name is Smart. What was his first name?
Maxwell.
Maxwell Smart. Yes,
Yeah,
thank you.
Max
Could
Smart.
not think of
Yeah,
it for a
yeah,
second.
Maxwell Smart.
Yeah.
Don Adams.
Got mystic by
That
that
much.
much.
Yeah. For some of you more Gen Xers may know him from, of course, Inspector Gadget. But
um, yes, he was the voice of Inspector Gadget, who
right,
pretty much was Maxwell Smart, but just with more, with more prosthetics,
exactly. He
basically.
was like the bionic Maxwell Smart.
Right. Right. And having a phone in your shoe in the 60s was like this major thing because there were no cell phones. And this just wasn't a phone in his shoe. It was a rotary phone in his shoe. It was awesome.
Yeah, because weirdly enough, the '60s did not have the touch tone dialing.
No, they did not.
So Chad eventually gets out. I'm gonna leave that there because some other stuff happens before then.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we pick up with Ben Horn,
Yes!
who finally gets a call
I am
um,
so
uh,
disappointed that we
uh,
didn't see this scene.
about his brother. Jerry has apparently finally been picked up by the authorities. I'm hoping this is a deleted scene that we'll get on the Blu-ray.
And this is in Wyoming.
Yes, yes.
This is Wyoming. So where the hell
Now, no,
were Cooper
we thought he
and
was
Richard?
we thought he was in. I thought that because I mean they obviously came from South Dakota, and then
Yeah.
so somehow they deviated through Wyoming on their way to Washington. But so yeah, and so
Did,
now did Jerry? Well, now was he in Ghostwood and then somehow traveled like through one of the portals that's in
when he
Ghostwood?
first started calling Ben,
Yeah,
he said he couldn't find his car. So
right.
I think he might have just started driving and then didn't get and just kept going.
Okay.
And then eventually either ran out of gas or pulled over and
Because we
then
know he
started
was like
wandering
running
around.
from something.
He was running from something, so I don't know what happened, what made him pull over. I don't know if he drove halfway there or if he just ran to Wyoming or what happened. But so yeah, he's in Wyoming. So that leads me to wonder where the heck were
Yeah.
Richard and Doppelganger Cooper. But not only is he in Wyoming, he is naked.
Yes.
I'm like, if we can see Nido's boobies on this show, why can't I see naked Jerry running through Wyoming? That would be so awesome.
I think I'm high.
Yes.
I had to do that at least one last time.
Thank you so much. Yeah, just naked Jerry running through Wyoming. It's just this wonderful image.
So
At
yeah,
least we know Jerry's okay. Because he
Go
doesn't
ahead.
have binoculars anymore, but he's okay.
Yeah, he did, apparently, yeah, because the authorities tell Ben they're kind of puzzled because Jerry apparently told the authorities that his binoculars killed somebody. I think I'm high.
Oh, dear Patrick, I love you so much.
That is a delete. I mean, I really hope there's a deleted scene for this.
That would be so good.
Something more with. Give us something more with Jerry somewhere somehow.
Exactly.
because
Exactly.
that would just be epic. That was a lost opportunity as far as I'm concerned.
Totally.
But and then so of course the authorities are like, hey, you might want to send along some clothes for your brother.
And Ben is just going like, yeah,
Yeah,
okay, yeah,
yeah.
that's my brother.
And he's probably heard this story like at least 20 times.
This is not the first phone call of this vein that he has
No,
received in his
no.
lifetime.
He,
Either he's stuck in a whorehouse somewhere, or he's drunk and passed out, or he took the company jet to Norway or
right.
something.
So yeah, Ben should be like, okay, so he's just naked then. Well, okay, that's pretty good for him.
All
You
right,
know,
that works.
yeah, like I'm actually good with that. If that's
we'll,
the worst, if his being naked is the worst of it, I'm good with that.
we'll find his car through the GPS system. It'll be okay.
Right,
We'll just get him some pants
right.
and we'll bring him home. So yes, Jerry's okay, but he's in Wyoming and he's naked.
Well, at least Jerry is safe and sound for the moment.
Yes,
Yeah, let's put
which is good to know.
which is good to
That
know.
is one thing that got wrapped up.
So yeah, so that's a little postscript there for Jerry Horn. Um, Next we see Mr. C, Doppelganger
Hmm.
Cooper, arriving at presumably the White Lodge Gateway in Ghostwood Forest.
Yep.
And so he's there. We see that kind of like tapioca pudding filled uh, mound.
Right. It's whatever the opposite
Yeah,
of burnt engine oil is
exactly.
that stuff.
So the vortex opens and Mr. C flickers out.
You get sucked up into the sky.
Yeah, so he goes inside the White Lodge, presumably.
Hmm.
But interestingly, okay, so when he arrives there, he's depicted as a head that's inside like a small caged box.
Yeah.
So, and he's right there next, basically floating around there, just right next to the floating head of Major Briggs.
Hmm.
And we're not sure why he's in that caged box unless that maybe the fireman put some protection on him as he's traveling through his realm.
That's what I'm thinking, or that that it's a reference to the abomination that was in the box. That things are boxed in when they need to be,
Right.
and because he does get sucked up through the horn
Yeah. So
and
so yeah, we have the
spit back out.
so we have the fireman. He essentially changes the channel on the movie screen,
Hmm.
and so it goes to a location pretty close to the sheriff's station, and he sends Mr. C back to Earth through the portal.
Hmm.
So presumably he's aware of what Doppelganger Cooper's up to, but
I think
he wants to see it, let it play out.
right, because in this, I'm getting ahead of myself again a little bit here, but the fireman knows who is in Twin Peaks
Yes.
and why he's there. And so he needs Doppelganger Cooper to be at the Twin Peaks Sheriff Station.
Yeah.
Because what happens is he comes through the portal and he sort of looks around and then he turns around and lo and behold, there's the Sheriff Station. So he's at the coordinates.
Right. So
And so he had to get to them through, via the White Lodge, but he's there.
yeah, essentially it's
And then,
sort of like a shortcut.
right, it's like maybe it's a warp whistle. Sorry, I've been playing a lot of Super Mario 3 lately.
It's like Chutes and Ladders,
So
he just kind of like
yeah,
slides right over there.
exactly. Or like if you play Clue, it's a secret passage.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
So he's
Perfect.
in the parking lot, and Andy is out in the parking lot also and notices him and is just shocked to see him there.
But Andy, of course, thinks he's Cooper, the real
Of course,
Cooper.
of course he does. So we go. So we're at the sheriff's station where just all hell is breaking loose because outside we've got Andy and Doppelganger Cooper,
Right?
and then inside we have Nido and Drooly McBloodyface going crazy again.
Yeah, and Naito is freaking out at this point.
Completely freaking out because she can sense Doppelganger Cooper outside.
Right.
She knows he's there.
So yeah, so she's squawking away. They're like all panicked, agitated,
Hmm.
and so drunk Billy, Drooly McBloodyface,
Drooly McBloodyface.
passes out, finally.
Just passes out, just thunk right
Thunk
onto the
again,
jail.
exactly. And of course,
Yeah.
this is when Chad gets the key out of his shoe and he
That's when
escapes.
Chad decides to make his stealthy Chad move.
Exactly. He's all ninja-like. No.
Yep, he's
Yeah.
got keys.
Yes. So, Doppelganger Cooper goes inside the station, greets Lucy, who is obviously taken aback,
Right, I
and
think the people that know him are a little like, what the heck?
yeah,
This is not the Asian Cooper that we know, but
it's
he
like
knows who they are.
it's like, oh, we've been talking about you. Hey,
Yeah, hey, how's it going? And they're just sort of, and
and Doppelganger Cooper's not giving them much at all. He's very, he's parsing his words. He's not really cluing them in about what's really going on, and he's just kind of like, I'm here to see Sheriff Truman.
right. And
So,
so, of course, Sheriff Frank Truman does not know Cooper.
right,
So he would not know that there's something up with him, that there's something different about him.
exactly.
So Andy and Lucy are kind of excited to see him, but they're also like, what the
Right.
hell? Like what, hey, he can meet Wally now. But then they're also sort of like, this
Yeah,
is something's off about this.
yeah, and then
Something's
Andy,
really, really off about this. And Andy has this vision
right,
of seeing himself and Lucy and then him running off.
yeah, he basically takes off down the hallway, and he's all
Right.
very important, very important,
Very, very important. Right. So
as he's
we'll see what that means in a few moments
yeah,
because,
but apparently it's important.
yes, because meanwhile,
Meanwhile,
Chad has snuck out of jail. I mean,
yes,
how sneaky can it be when other people are looking at you?
pretty much. It's kind of hard because hey, those bars you can kind of
Jail.
see right through. Yeah, exactly.
You can see through bars, yeah.
And remember, of course, we've got James and Freddie there as well.
The important one is Freddie.
Obviously,
Yeah.
yes. So Drilly McBloodyface rips his facial bandage off,
Which is so gross and
and
painful.
he's
I don't,
he picks at it.
yeah, I don't know
Which,
if I've mentioned this before,
yeah.
but I have a problem with saliva, seeing saliva.
Oh, so
So
you
I
must
had
have
to
really
kinda,
hated. You must have really hated this guy.
I did not like Julie McBloodyface at all. Like, I had to sort of put my hand up when I watched him because I had a really hard time.
Okay, so who's
So
worse, Chad or Julie McBloodyface?
Chad is worse, but I can look at Chad.
Got it.
So
Okay.
now, so Chad's skulking around in the boiler room, and we
Right.
go back to see.
I think he goes out to a locker room and gets a gun.
Yeah, he goes. Yeah, that's right. It looks like a boiler room is what I thought
Yeah,
initially.
I think it's
But
the department locker room.
hmm and
Yeah.
so he's sort of skulking around, and then we're back with we're going back and forth between jail
Yeah.
and Frank's office, and the thing that would have really tipped somebody off with that this is not Cooper
Right.
is he's offered a cup of coffee
Yes.
and he says no thanks.
Yeah,
That is obviously not Cooper.
this should have like red flags going off, like
Yeah.
red alert, red alert, red alert,
hmm Exactly.
and everybody freaking out. Like alarms flashing, the whole thing, the whole 9 yards.
Right.
Because yeah, obviously this is the huge tip off that that's not Cooper.
Right.
And now Frank wouldn't catch on,
Frank wouldn't know. That's the thing. Is that Frank wouldn't know.
but I'm pretty sure Andy might, but Lucy definitely would catch on to that.
Definitely would, for sure. So now Andy has come out and has run. He came out to talk to Lucy, and then he ran back into the jail.
Right.
And now it's a standoff between Chad
and Andy showdown.
and an unarmed Andy.
Yes. So it's pretty ballsy that Andy confronts him, and he basically calls him out. And, it talks about what a bad person Chad is, or bad policeman.
You give good policeman a bad name.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, you're right. You're right. That's it. And then so Chad looks like he's basically has the drop on Andy, when all of a sudden, in the neighboring cell,
Freddie McRubberfist punches the door open, and the door whacks right into Chad, knocking him on the ground.
Exactly.
So Andy, and I loved this about what Andy did. Andy, okay, Chad is on the ground.
Right?
He's sort of laying on his right shoulder.
Yeah.
So Andy then takes his left hand and cuffs it to the cell on the right.
Yes.
So he has to be contorted or like facing the ground if he wants to be proper. It is the most uncomfortable thing he could have possibly done.
Well, it was good police work because, yeah, he's using his position against him.
Right, exactly. So he's very well contained and he's very uncomfortable.
Yeah. And yeah, so obviously, yeah, he's reeling from this because, yeah, getting smacked in the head by a cell door.
Mm-hmm.
That's
right,
coming.
And it's Freddie McRubberfist, so it wasn't like somebody just pushed it into him. He got whacked with that rubber glove.
He should just be glad he's not in a coma like those other two guys.
Like those intensive care guys from the bar. Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
So count your blessings there, Chad.
Yeah.
So yeah, obviously Cooper's at this point. Cooper's talking to Doppelganger Cooper's talking to Frank, and then all of a sudden Frank gets a phone call.
Well, Lucy gets a phone call.
Well, that's true. Lucy gets a phone call first,
and she's kind of surprised, and she tells Frank, "This is like really important.
Right?
You need to take this phone call.
Very important."
And it's the real Cooper as himself, and we know it because, Harriet's Coop, is the coffee on? Like, that's the first thing he says.
Yeah.
Is the coffee on.
It's like, I'm headed your way, and so...
And they passed the sign, it's so great.
Yep. So yeah, that was cool, and then, but of course, and then Frank has to play it cool.
Mm-hmm.
But Doppelganger Cooper obviously figures out what's up. And he draws his gun on Frank.
Mm-hmm.
Now, not looking good for Frank, but then all of a sudden, bam!
All that happens is Frank's hat just kind of goes askew for a little bit.
Yeah, and then, Mr. C kind of thumps off to the side because who shoots him?
Lucy Moran Brennan! Yes, Lucy shoots him.
Yep.
And Andy hears the shot, comes running.
Lucy understands cell phones now.
And she says, Andy, I understand cellular phones now.
I'm not exactly sure how shooting a doppelganger or tulpa is going to give you a knowledge of cell phones, but okay.
Well, she understood that even though Cooper's on the phone,
right,
he can't be on the phone and in the office.
Ah, yes, I see.
So therefore, she figures that out.
Well spotted, thank you.
So Cooper then, he's like, what was that noise? And they tell him that Lucy just shot this other guy. And he's like, do not touch him.
Right. Yeah, Cooper's just like, stay away. Don't touch him.
Don't touch him. Then Hawk comes running in. He's like, we got to do something. And he's like, Agent Cooper said not to touch him. And then Hawk is like, that's Agent Cooper. And we're all like, okay, Hawk, you need to catch up.
Yeah.
Come on. Somebody let Hawk in on what the hell's been going on for the last 20 minutes.
So Andy brings Nido in at this point. And
yes, everybody's out of jail except for Chad. Chad is still down there. Exactly. Chad will truly make bloody faces down there.
Presumably they threw him in the cell again.
Yeah, I would hope so.
Without his shoes, hopefully.
Yes.
But at this point, of course, the room gets dark. And who shows up? The Woodsmen.
The Woodsmen, they show up and they do the whole,
like bloody massage.
Yes, the bloody massage.
The bloody body massage.
The bloody body massage, yeah. They're trying to get the Bob orb out of him again. But again, they're just like really just poking around like he's...
Right. It's just like we're wondering if they're going to resurrect him again. Because remember, they did that before. But yeah, this time they bring Bob out of him. And Bob is now this big orb.
Right, but he's sort of he's not a very smooth orb like the Laura Golden orb is. He's just sort of kind of rough on the edges, just sort of kind of gnarly orb.
Exactly. It's this kind of like swirling ball of hate.
Right, like a
little hate ball.
Right, like a little hate ball, like something that you didn't really, that you sort of chiseled out of something. It's not really pristine the way the Laura orb was. So they complete his body massage and get Bob out of him.
Yeah,
and so then
this thing's raging away inside that orb.
So Bob's sort of like in the orb, just kind of hovering there.
Right.
and everybody's in the room at this point. You know,
Yep.
all the
Yeah.
cops.
Yeah. Cooper.
Nigel is there.
Yeah. Cooper's there. He asked if Freddy is Freddy.
He says, "Is your name Freddy?" And he says, "Yes, sir." And this is Freddy's destiny.
Yep. Freddy realizes, yeah, this is my destiny. Gets that big old rubber gardening glove of his, and he dukes it out with the orb.
He dukes it out with the orb,
They
and
throw down.
the orb kind of takes a little bit out of Freddy. He tries to go for Cooper first,
Right.
but Freddy kind of figures out what's going on,
Yeah, because he
and
kind of knocks Cooper down. The orb does.
yeah, so Freddy kind of figures it out, and you know he's like, "Yes, and this is my destiny," and he whacks at it,
Yep.
and they go at it because it knocks Freddy down a few times too, and Freddy's got to get up, and you know he
Yeah.
knocks it, and he thinks he's knocked it
And
away,
this
but
thing's
it
raging
comes
at
back
it.
at
It's
him,
coming
and
at
yeah,
you like so it's very intense, and it's very in this whole scene. This whole sequence is very fast paced,
right. And
and
there must have been tons of screen test footage
yeah,
of Frank Silva for this
I hope so because yeah, this
because
look
it really looks like him. It is him, but it doesn't look
yeah,
like
it doesn't look like it was
recycled footage.
or it doesn't look like a CGI replication.
Right,
It just looks
right.
like and I gotta think Lynch probably would prefer it old school,
I think so.
so he probably just superimposed that image on the orb
Yes. And
throughout this.
so, you know, the orb is, Freddy knocks out the orb and then it gets up and it knocks out Freddy
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
Freddy,
And then
knocks it and
well,
Nido's going crazy and
yeah, and then the orbs, Bob inside says, "Catch you with my
mhm,
death bag."
my death
One of
bag.
his favorite catchphrases.
Yep.
And so at this point, Freddy punches the orb and finally shatters it,
Yes.
and it goes into pieces, and then they kind of flitter up into the air.
Right.
And presumably, this is the end of Bob, as far as we know.
Well, I
Or
hope that was Freddy's destiny.
yeah. So at this point, Cooper hurries over, puts the alcave ring, with the symbol on
Mm-hmm.
it,
Yeah, the ring.
the ring, puts it on his doppelganger, who then disappears. And the
Yes.
ring is returned to the Black Lodge. We don't know what happened to the doppelganger.
Right, but we know that the ring is where it's supposed to be,
Right.
and we know that Freddy has punched Bob into the ether
Right.
in pieces. So hopefully that's not going to be a problem anytime soon.
Let's hope. But at this point, Rodney has a great line. One for the grandkids.
Yes. Yes, because the Mitchum brothers are there because they, of course, are
Yeah.
who flew Cooper there.
Yes.
So they're all
They were
standing,
writing there, yeah.
and they're just like everybody else, like, what in the hell?
Yeah. Yeah. Cooper asked for the room 315 key from Frank, and
Mm-hmm.
Frank's all, well, how did you know about that? Well,
And it's sort of like no time
how
for
did
questions. We just got
yeah,
to do this thing.
exactly. It's like we only got like an episode and a half. We got to wrap this up.
Yeah, we got to do this.
So just roll with it. And Cooper then sees Nido, and here's where it gets a little more weird. I want to say
Mm-hmm.
because obviously it's been weird, but I would see a
This
little
is
more.
where it gets weirder. It
Yeah,
gets even lynchier.
yeah. So hold on to your seat, kids. Um,
Yep.
Yep. To quote Lana Kane from Archer. Uh,
Yep.
yep. Phrasing.
Oh, so apparently you went to the underwear store and said, "Please give me something that showcases my intelligence."
I'm sorry. I totally set you up for those Archer quotes, didn't I?
Oh yeah, don't let me go off on
I,
Archer
I, I,
next
teed
hour.
I teed that up for you. Sorry.
Thank you very much. Are we
But
even doing phrasing anymore?
love it. Love it. Okay. Rampage. Okay. Sorry. Um,
Danger zone.
danger zone. So at this point, Cooper's face is suddenly superimposed on the episode. Like it fills the screen, but it's obviously it's like it's barely there, but it's like, like he's watching all of this.
Kind of like, I don't know, where
Like he's
he's
at
in the hallway in Philadelphia and he goes to look at himself at the camera, but he's still standing there.
right. You think
Kind
it's
of
that
like that.
you think it's that moment?
I think it's a similar moment. Yes. I think it's a similar moment that sort of signifies
Yeah.
a higher understanding of Cooper
Right.
on Cooper's part, let's just say.
Yeah. So
And
yeah,
then
it's almost like
finally
he's
the FBI shows up.
like his spirit is almost outside of his body watching the events unfold.
Right, right. Like there's Cooper the corporeal being, and then there's Cooper
Yeah.
the entity.
Or is he dreaming this?
God only knows.
Yeah, God only knows. Yeah, take your pick. Get the answer of your choice.
Seriously. Yeah, seriously. There's really, but this scene very much did remind me of when he would run into the security office, look at the camera, run out, run in, look out, and then see himself still in the frame when Philip Jeffries walks up.
Right.
So it's obviously not a glitch in the film or in the video. He's still there, and Philip Jeffries has come in.
Yeah, and given the importance of Philip Jeffries in this story, including the line "We live inside a dream."
Inside a dream, yes.
So yeah, obviously that's important. Could very easily be related. I totally agree. Bobby shows up at this point, and Cooper. This is after I think Bradley utters the line, like, "What the hell's going on here?" or whatever.
What the hell is going on here?
Yeah, yeah. And so Cooper tells Bobby that, "Oh, hey, Bobby, your father, Major Briggs, he knew what's going on.
He saw this path for you."
Yes. So so take that for what you will.
Mm-hmm.
Gordon, Albert, and Tammy finally show up at this point.
They finally show up at this point, yes.
Welcome to the party, pals.
Does
To quote Die Hard.
it sound like I'm ordering a pizza?
Feel like a TV dinner.
I'm gonna cook you.
Yep.
I'm gonna eat you.
That's one of the great ones.
I love that one. Yeah.
Yeah, lots of great lines. So Cooper tells them, and this is where this is stuff we're going to be debating, I think, as Twin Peaks fans for the next decade at least.
Mm-hmm.
He says, "Now there are some things that will change. The past dictates the future."
Mm-hmm.
And
Keep that quote in mind for our next episode, kids.
yeah, exactly. Totally. And then at this point, the Candies show up. Candy, Mandy, and Sandy.
Oh yes, the Andes.
The Andes, yes. They offer everyone sandwiches. Candy's glad that she made so many. Yep.
You got to eat, kid.
Got to eat, kid. Exactly. Got to keep your strength up. So it all seems like, yeah, okay, that's a nice little finale at this point. Now, Cooper goes over to Nido at this point.
Who he has seen before.
Yeah, they look at each other like they know each other. Yeah, because that's true. You're right. He saw Nido when he was Cooper in space.
Cooper's in space.
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure if he recognized Nido or he recognized who Nido really is.
Yes, that's again open to interpretation, I think.
Right.
Maybe both. Right. Maybe C, all of the above.
Exactly.
So they touch palms, and interestingly, I thought, if you notice, Cooper reaches out with his left palm. She reaches out with her right palm, and they kind of stand facing each other, almost like they're reflections of one another.
Exactly.
So
that they are...
given the importance of mirrors in this show, I'm sure that was deliberate.
And I think there's something about how they are from the same realm. Like I said, there's Cooper the corporeal being and Cooper the entity. Right. And Cooper the entity is from where Nido is from.
Yes.
So
they've had probably similar experiences.
especially in the last 25 years.
Exactly.
And so, but yes, Cooper knows Nido from his experience in space, and he also knows who she really is.
Exactly. So her face, Nido's face dissolves, but it kind of opens like a gateway into the Black Lodge,
Well, it sort of also does like a black smoke kind of thing, which
right?
we've also seen before on somebody's face,
Like with the tulpas.
like with the tulpas. Yep.
Yeah. So we go into the Black Lodge, and then we see like this black egg thing floating
Mm-hmm.
around. It cracks open, and it's kind of superimposed on Diane's body as her face is revealed.
Mm-hmm.
So we see Diane, but Diane, apparently this is the true Diane. So Nida was revealed as Diane, and she
Mm-hmm.
has red hair.
So I have a question about this.
Yes, yes.
Do you think Diane is Lil?
That's a good question.
No, I'm serious. I'm serious
Because
because
Lil had that red hair.
Lil had that red hair. She obviously works for the Bureau, and she's just there to convey the message of the sour face and my mother's sister's girl. This is, of course, Lil from Fire Walk with Me,
Right.
with the dress with the alterations and the
That,
blue rose pin to it.
yeah, that was in this. Yeah, basically, Chet Desmond and Sam
Right,
were there to study her movements as a message from Gordon Cole.
exactly. And so,
So if she was Lil. So presumably you're thinking, okay, that Diane. Oh, I see what you're saying. So you're saying that Diane, before she was claimed by Doppelganger Cooper and
and
replaced.
back when she was still working for the Bureau, because this is 1988 or 89 when
Yeah,
Chet Desmond is on the Teresa Banks case. Was it 88?
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, it would have to be because because Laura died in '89.
right. So this is back when she's still
And it
working
wasn't
for the
like
Bureau.
6 months before Laura died.
It was a
That
year.
a year. Okay, a year.
It was a
Okay,
year.
okay. So yeah, you're probably right. So Lil presumably was an alias for Diane,
That's what right. That's what I'm thinking. That it's that Lil is her name's not important.
right?
The fact that she's my mother's sister's girl is important. And so because when I saw that red hair, I was like, I mean, obviously that's not
Yeah.
a true color, but it could be something that she's
No, that's just her look.
that's been her look for a long time
Yeah,
too. And
that's really interesting.
yeah, that was my question.
That's a good theory. I like that theory.
Was she quote unquote Lil? Was that her?
Yeah,
Was that part of her job?
just played by a different actress. Interesting.
Yeah, was that part of her job with the FBI? Was
Maybe.
to
Right.
give
Because
those Gordon Cole coded dance messages.
that's a hell of a job description.
That's a hell, yeah, yeah. Hey Diane,
Yep.
we need you to fly to South Dakota and dance around on a tarmac for like 5 minutes and then come back. You good with that?
Well, to be fair, maybe she was interning.
That's quite possible because she was
Yeah.
Hooper's assistant.
Yep.
So maybe she was.
This is the crappy, weird, like intern job that you give an intern, like just for like shits and giggles when you're like, hey, let's see if we can get her to do this.
But that's an important job. I mean, that's how Chet Desmond and Sam knew
Right.
what was going on. So yeah, that was my main question about Diane.
Yeah.
Was she Lil?
That's a good question. I hadn't considered that, but I think you're onto something there.
I don't know.
Well spotted.
Thank you.
I'm gonna mark one up for Xan there.
Thank you very much. I also
Good call.
thought it was interesting. Did you notice her nails?
Yes, they were black and white, alternating, kind of like that zigzag pattern.
Right.
The I forget the term. You know,
The chevron.
chevron. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I should know this. So yeah, the chevron
Were her
pattern.
nails? What were her nails before when she was the tulpa?
I'm trying to remember. Weren't they all black? Or no, they were. No, they were.
One was red, one was gray, and then the rest were black.
Okay.
So her nails were like almost like the colors of her hair. Like
Right.
these are the places she's been. So
Yeah.
I wonder if
So
her nails.
with the red hair and yeah, the black and white nail polish.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's exactly. She's representing the White Lodge or the Black Lodge at that point.
Right, right. So yeah,
The waiting room,
her
at
nails tell
least.
a story. I think
Yeah. Yeah, that's
definitely.
interesting. Like she's been touched by the her experience in the
Mhm.
Black Lodge or something.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's interesting. So yeah, um at this point Cooper and Diane kiss.
And it's a nice happy kiss, not a
Exactly.
creepy rapey kiss.
Yeah, and she says, "Cooper, the one and only."
The one and only. Yes.
And everybody's
She
like,
can feel
"Yay!" at this point.
what's in his heart.
Right.
And
I would very much like to make love to a woman I had genuine affection
for whom I
for.
had genuine affection.
Yeah, that's it.
And then what time is it?
Yeah, interestingly, the wall clock is stuck at 3:52.
2:52.
Is it 2:52?
Yeah.
I thought it was 3:52. I thought it was a little farther down.
No, because if it was 3:52, it would look like
Right,
it was
because
on
it would be
4.
close to 3 because it's 52. Okay, you're right.
Yes.
Okay, so
Exactly.
2:52. 2:52. Thank you.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was basically stuck there. Like it kept trying to go farther, but it couldn't get past that point. So
Right.
time presumably stops.
Hmm.
And then all of a sudden,
I would
we
assume that time feels like it stops when you kiss Kyle MacLachlan. That's always been my. That's always been how I imagined it.
if you
So
that's how you vision it in your head.
that's how I've envisioned it in the last 25 years of
Okay.
envisioning that. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
You still want to see that happen?
I know it's not, but girl can dream.
Yeah, just
You know,
the bucket.
because
It's on the bucket list.
well, like I'm not married to somebody awesome.
There you go. There you go. Well said. Well said. All right, I'll let you off the hook on that one.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So at this point, we hear presumably Doppelganger Cooper,
Hmm.
or it sounds like Doppelganger Cooper, who says, "We live inside a dream."
We live inside a dream, right?
And then Cooper um, says to the others, everybody else in the room, "I hope to see all of you again, every one of you."
Yes.
And here's where it goes down. The room darkens and then goes black.
And then a little bit of
Gordon,
light comes up,
Coop,
and
they cry out to
we've
each
got
other.
yes,
And then
we've got Cooper,
yeah,
we've got Diane, we've got Gordon.
right. And we should
And
note that the superimposed face of Cooper vanishes at this point.
is gone.
Yep.
Hmm.
So that's done.
And they go to that crazy No Way Motel.
Well, first they're in the bowels of the Great Northern,
Yes, they are in the bowels of the Great Northern where
where we hear that
we
strange
were
sound.
hearing that noise.
Yep.
Yes. Yes.
And
And
that
they come up to a
door.
locked door.
Yep.
And what opens it?
The room 315 key.
315 key.
Yep.
Yes.
Cooper says, "Now listen, I'm going through this door. Don't try to follow me."
Don't try to follow me.
And Cooper hugs Diane and shakes Gordon's hand. And then Cooper says, "See you at the curtain call."
Which is so obviously the freaking lodge.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I can't imagine what else that could possibly mean.
right. But again, it's one of those comments like that makes you wonder. I was like, are we going to see more? Can we get? Are we going to see that?
Yeah, and are we breaking the fourth wall, or
Yeah.
what is the deal here?
You're right. Is just
yeah.
an aside, a fourth wall aside? Yeah, that's a great point.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, we see the image of Cooper that we saw in the Twin Peaks trailer. Remember when we were desperate for footage, and we saw
Mm-hmm.
that one little glimpse of Cooper entering a dark room,
Yep.
and we wanted to see more. Well, apparently it was that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see Mike, the one-armed man.
Yep. Philip Gerard, Mike.
Yep, who's apparently avoided Tommy Lee Jones at this point in the Fugitive. Um, and Harrison Ford.
Yes.
So
You find that man.
yeah, exactly. So he says those immortal words, through the darkness of future past, the magician longs to see. One chance out between two worlds. Fire,
Fire,
walk
walk
with
with me.
me. Say that'll make a
Yep.
catchy podcast opening.
Yeah, sure will.
Yep. So the
And of
two,
course, and
yeah,
like I said, they are in crazy no way convenience store, motel, gateway area.
the Dutchman, presumably.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So they go up the staircase. At that moment, there's an electrical flash, and then we get the return of a figure not seen since Fire Walk with Me, who descends the staircase, the jumping man.
Mm-hmm. With his little, with his
Little,
white mask.
yeah, little pointy nose white mask thing.
Yep.
What's that about? We have no idea.
Mm-mm. We have absolutely no idea what that's all about.
So if you understand what that's about, please let me know because I'm dying to know.
The only thing I can think is that it's another connection to that is where Philip Jeffries was at one of their meetings.
Okay.
I mean that it's just connecting that even more that's
Right.
that's where these people are, and that makes me think even more that Jürgen Prochnow was
Yeah.
one of the woods
Okay. Makes
that
sense.
he was a woodsman.
Yeah, because he kind of looked.
I mean, aside from the fact that he's dressed
Right.
like a woodsman.
Right. Only he wasn't as dirty.
No, he was not as dirty. He wasn't a dust vulture woodsman, but
But
it gives me the
but presumably
impression that that's what he was supposed to be,
he was
because
intended.
that's who all
Yeah.
was there.
Yeah. Because obviously maybe in 25 years they decided to refine their look.
Perhaps, or maybe they just haven't showered since.
Yeah.
You
they,
know,
they, they certainly look it.
and Jürgen Prochnow has been on that submarine for God knows how long now. So he's probably filthy. For those of you who have not seen Das Boot,
Yep.
I don't necessarily recommend it, but it's a very good movie. It's just 4 hours long.
Just get the brother a bar of soap already. Come on.
Seriously.
All right.
Das Boot is a fascinating movie because it by the time it's over, you're feeling bad
Yeah.
for German World War II soldiers. It's like, what kind of movie does that to you?
Exactly.
That's powerful, Wolfgang Peterson.
Yep.
Good job.
I've never actually seen that movie.
It's really well done, and it's very interesting, and it's very tense, but it is very long.
I've heard that.
Yeah, it's very, very long, but it's 4 hours of looking at Jürgen Prochnow, so I'm fine with that.
So as far as you're concerned, that 4 hours is worth it.
I'd maybe have like a little modeling project going on the side, like
Okay.
so glue together the Enterprise while you're watching it, because you are going to need something to occupy the rest of your time.
Let me build a ship in a bottle while I wait.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
exactly true.
All right. So Cooper and Mike, they go to see that wonderful tin machine that is Philip Jeffries.
The Tin Machine,
Yep.
steampunk.
Yeah. Apparently,
Spirit.
apparently David Lynch basically had to correct everybody that, hey, it's not supposed to be a tea kettle. It's just a machine.
Oh, I don't think anybody really thought it was a tea kettle.
Well, I think a lot of people, because of the steam, thought it was like, hey, that it was a tea kettle.
I just think the steam was, like I said before, if you ever wondered if they actually were able to put the consciousness of H.P. Lovecraft into a machine, I think this is exactly what it would look like.
Yeah.
It's like the steampunkiest steampunk machine you've ever seen.
Pretty much.
So.
Pretty much.
But yeah, I didn't think it was a teapot. I mean, that was a good comparison.
Yeah.
Just based on description, because it does, it has here's its spout.
I just kind of like calling it Tin Machine because, hey, Bowie.
I think that's perfect. Yeah, because it's Bowie.
Yep.
And we do get confirmation that we did not actually see David Bowie in this series.
Right.
That David Bowie was either gone or too sick when this was filmed.
Yeah.
So.
Now, I was reading something recently that was interesting before we move on. Apparently, David Bowie left instructions for David Lynch to, like, if he was going to use this, like, that footage, he wanted somebody else to do the voice.
Okay.
because apparently, now this is what I was reading, that presumably David Bowie either was told that his Louisiana accent, or whatever it's supposed to be, um, is
Was really bad.
was really bad. So maybe he got self-conscious about it. I don't know what.
I think that was an easy target for that movie.
Right.
It did not get good reviews from
Yeah.
lay people for
Right.
not Twin Peaks fans. Like I said before, I think the idea was people thought, oh, I never saw that show. I'll go see the movie, and no.
Yeah. You can't just
Um,
walk into that movie cold without watching the series. I'm sorry.
no, you really. I think that the first half of it, you get a little something out of it, but the second half, no, definitely not.
Yeah.
So I think they just took anything they could to pick on it, and David Bowie's Southern accent was an easy target.
Yeah.
So,
And
I mean, it is bad, but it's not like it doesn't put me out of the movie or anything like that.
of course, the international press being the international press. Yeah. So
Easy target.
easy. Exactly. So, so at this point, Philip, instead of saying hello, he says, "Please be specific."
Thank you,
Yeah.
Philip Gerard. Good Lord.
Well, Philip Jeffries.
Well, he tells Philip Jeffries to be specific. Philip Gerard tells Philip Jeffries to be specific, I thought.
Oh, no, because remember, Philip Jeffries. I think he knows what Cooper is there for. So
Okay.
so he's saying that to Cooper, going, "Please be specific."
Oh, yes, that's
And
right. That's
and
right.
and,
It's yeah,
and then Cooper says the date, February 23rd, 1989.
1989. Right.
So then Philip Jeffries replies, "I'll find it for you.
So he goes in the
It's
bowels
it's slippery in here."
of his memory bank.
Yeah. So apparently it's all timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly inside
Yes.
that tin machine.
Or there's, he doesn't have skin anymore, and this is his, exoskeleton.
Who
I don't
knows?
quite.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right. So I don't want to go in there, is what I'm saying.
Maybe it's like altered states in there.
Oh my God.
You know what I'm talking about.
Is naked William Hurt in there? I don't know if I want to go in
Yeah, just okay. I'm just gonna block that out of my head now that I said it.
Altered States is a great movie, but it is a bit of a crazy watch, let me tell you.
It's a bit of a mind f as well. Let's just put it that
Oh
way.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Um, so Jeffrey says, "It's good to see you again, Cooper. Say hello to Gordon if you see him,
Mm-hmm.
and he'll remember the unofficial version."
I have no idea what that's all about.
Yeah. Now I'm guessing, is that maybe the timeline? Like maybe he'll remember the original timeline?
Like maybe no matter what happens, when
Right.
things might change, Gordon will know.
Right. Maybe.
Good question. Yeah, good question.
So he says, "This is where you'll find Judy. There may be someone. Did you ask me this?"
Yeah.
Yeah. Right over our heads on that one.
I am not sure what's going on here.
Yeah.
I think this is something.
It's almost like he's
that-
rattling off random lines and you're trying to connect, like make sense of this.
Well, I think this is going to be like Fire Walk with Me, where
Yeah.
it's everything that we sort of thought was a throwaway
Right.
is going to become very important later.
So
at some point.
do you think Lynch is setting up a possible, like, hey, if I decide to come back to this, I can use this and play with it later on?
I think he is either that or Mark Frost has plans for what's in the final dossier.
That's true. We obviously we haven't read the final dossier yet, so yeah, it could factor in there. That's a good point.
Halloween, baby.
Halloween. God, it's only like 5 weeks away.
No, it's so exciting.
Crazy. Where's the year gone? So we get the Alcave symbol, with the excuse me, the diamond with the kind of owl wings on top of it.
Yes.
And so that appears in the air, then breaks apart and turns into the symbol of two diamonds on top of one another,
Mm-hmm.
which then becomes a number 8. Again, that was that 8. Remember I was saying on the outside of Jeffrey's room was important.
Right.
And
Right.
of course, because it's infinity turned on its side,
Yes.
or two circles, because yeah, David Lynch loves circles. And a dot appears on the 8, and the 8 then reverses itself around, rotates around, and then the dot moves to another position at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jeffrey says, "There it is. You can go in
That's the
now."
point in time.
Yeah. So
Yes, they have found the point in time that he wants to go.
Yeah. So he says, "You can go in now, Cooper. Remember." Almost like he's like Spock at the end of The Wrath of Khan.
I was just going to say that. Where he's like, remember
doing
yes,
the mind meld.
Yes, the mind meld, Dr. McCoy, so he knows where to go. Where
well,
he
places his Katra in there. So
yes.
So Mike says electricity.
Mm-hmm.
Cooper closes his eyes, and then presumably, boom, we time travel.
Yes, we time travel to the last night Laura is alive.
Right. And things go black and white at this point. We see a very familiar ceiling fan.
We do.
And then we see the exterior of the Palmer house. So, of course, that's not good. We kind of get a little taste of where we might be. And at this point, we start seeing scenes. Yeah, we figure out we're in Fire Walk with Me, the movie. We see Laura.
The last night that Laura's alive.
Right. We see Laura hopping on James's bike as Leland's all creepy scowly from the window, doing that really terrifying face. Presumably Bob Bob is watching.
Because Bob is watching because Bob wants to know where she's going.
Right. So at this point, Cooper flickers into Ghostwood as James and Laura stop nearby.
Right.
James tells Laura, "Hey, I know you love me and I love you." Then they kiss. And then Laura sees Cooper and screams.
Yep.
Now I'm trying to remember if in the original footage, did she just scream for no reason? And now we're getting an explanation about what she was screaming about?
She jumps off the bike and runs off screaming. Well, she screams, "I love you, James," and then runs off screaming.
Yes.
So, I think this is a different
timeline.
This is a meanwhile.
Well,
a meanwhile in Fire Walk with Me.
Yeah, because she does say these are things about me. Even Donna doesn't know me. Which we never actually saw, but we heard about in the TV series.
I knew her better than she thought I did.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing is that Donna does know her a little bit better because Donna was there at the Roadhouse that night.
Right. But I mean, those lines that we heard.
Right.
Yeah, we never heard Laura say those lines.
We never heard her say those lines. That's true.
Yeah. And she flips James off and says, "What about this, James?" And then, "I think you want to take me home now."
Yep.
So we travel, of course, to the intersection of Sparkwood and 21.
The only traffic light that Twin Peaks has.
Apparently. Laura jumps off the bike, she screams, "I love you, James," at the top of her lungs in the way that only Sheryl Lee can. She takes off toward the road, into the woods. The stoplight turns red, and then James takes off through it.
Right.
And then we see Leo, Jacques, and Ronette waiting for Laura.
Right. Yep. In the woods.
Only this time, and here's where things diverge.
This is where things change.
Yeah. So if you remember your Back to the Future 2, things break off. Into that separate diverging timeline.
Yep.
And this
Cooper intercepts her.
Yeah, Cooper intercepts her. This time, she doesn't hook up with Leo, Jacques, and Ronette. This time she finds Cooper. She asks him who he is. Does she know him? And she says, "I've seen you in a dream, in a dream."
In a dream.
So again, are we dreaming this, or is Laura dreaming this?
Exactly. We don't know. That's the thing. We have no idea. We are getting very timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly right now.
Right. We then see Laura's body wrapped in plastic. And then it fades from existence.
Then it fades away. Yes, and then the beach is just clear.
Yeah, Laura asks where they're going. Cooper replies, "We're going home."
We're going home, which, oh my God, made me cry.
Right?
Because that would be so great if Laura would just go home. She'd still be alive. We wouldn't have gone through this.
Right. So,
You know?
I mean, you still have Bob to deal with because he's still inside your den.
That's the thing, is that we still have Bob to deal with.
Right.
So
So
here's the problem. What's going on at home right now?
Right.
Something's...
Well. First, before we cut to that, we get a little bit more about how this timeline has diverged, because we go all the way back to the Twin Peaks pilot, the very first scenes where we're at
we're at the Martell house.
with the Martell house, the Packers. So Josie's there at her mirror, humming to herself. Catherine's looking on with resigned boredom.
With disgust and resigned boredom. Yeah.
Yeah, as Pete says, going fishing.
Mm-hmm.
But this time,
nothing happens.
Pete doesn't see Laura's body outside.
Laura's body isn't outside. We see the rocks. There's nothing there. Laura's body's not there.
It's not there, so he just keeps on fishing.
Yep. It's just a normal day for him.
So right there, we get that indication, hey, things are different now.
Mm-hmm.
And then we cut to the Palmer household. Only, is it in this time period in 1989, or is it in the modern day? I'm thinking the modern day.
I don't quite... I'm assuming that because whatever Sarah Palmer is right now is, I'm assuming, trying to get rid of the memory of Laura, because all you see is Laura's picture on the ground, and presumably Sarah just whacking it, just pounding it.
Yeah, because she's howling in anguish. She's off camera. Mm-hmm. And then she comes into view, grabs that picture, and then stabs it repeatedly.
Right.
So
she just punches it, just punches the glass. I mean,
So the question here is, presumably, this causes something. This causes something, like this whole plan of Cooper's is now just about to go completely awry.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the past, in 1989, Dale tries to guide her. He leads her through the forest. I think he's leading her toward Jack Rabbit's palace.
I think so too,
if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
So they're kind of weaving through the trees and going there, and then all of a sudden we hear that rather unsettling cricket-like sound, that bug-like sound.
We do. Yes, we do, that electric bug sound.
Yeah, and listen for the sounds, and then all of a sudden, there's a loud scream that sounds quite a lot like that very same scream from Laura Palmer in the Black Lodge, where we thought she was ripped out of the Black Lodge.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, Laura vanishes.
Yeah, again, just like in the launch, she just screams and then is gone.
And Cooper was looking around like, wait, what just happened?
What the hell did I just do?
Yeah, exactly. What the hell is going on?
Yep.
So that's kind of where we're left off. But
we're not quite done. We're not quite done. We see.
You can go ahead and do that one.
We see a set of red curtains.
Yes, we do.
So we're thinking, oh, are we going to see Laura in the lodge?
Right. Nope.
No, we're not going to see Laura in the lodge. We are back at the Roadhouse. And who is performing at the Roadhouse?
As
Julie Cruz.
Yep. As you speculated,
predicted by everybody.
yeah, that's true. So
performing The World Spins, one of my favorite Julie Cruz songs.
And one of mine is actually
Yeah,
interesting little trivia tidbit. That was actually one of the names I suggested for our Ghostwood podcast.
that
The
is true.
The World
That's right.
Spins, because that was just it's a title I've loved forever.
Oh, and it's such a good song.
Yeah, and it works obviously great for when you're talking about Twin Peaks. So, and it was also very important for that scene in the Roadhouse in the original series.
Hmm.
So,
Right.
so it's great.
When
Matt,
Donna comes to the Roadhouse on Harriet's bike.
right?
Yeah, that's the song. It's the same song
Yep.
that's playing.
So that was great. So obviously it's great to see Julie Cruz again. She's essentially just
So great.
lip syncing. She's not really singing it here.
Right. It's just it's the
It's the
original
original
song.
track. Yeah.
And if
So
you think about those lyrics, love don't go away,
right.
come back this way and stay forever and ever. And so that's kind of what Cooper's trying to get Laura to do. He's trying to get her to stay here.
Yeah.
You know, he's trying to get her to not go
Right.
with Leo and Jacques, because the one thing
Well,
that we're
remember the dream he told with that Laura had of Cooper. You know,
Mhm.
he's told her to don't take the ring.
Don't take the ring, Laura.
Right.
And the not the one thing. I mean, there's a million things that I have in my head about this, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I am really scared for Ronette at this point,
Why is that?
because I don't know, is Bob still going to find them thinking Laura's there and kill Ronette instead?
Oh, I see what you're saying. But with Laura missing, basically
Right.
taken out of the timeline,
Hmm.
does the universe kind of fill a vacuum? And is Bob going to go after Ronette instead?
Right. I'm wondering that, and I'm wondering if uh, where is Bob? If he's following Laura,
Right.
where did he go? I mean, where did he go? That's the thing. I mean, Laura is what leads him to the train car. You know, Leland, with Bob inside of Leland, sees Laura, sees James pull up to the house, sees Laura leave with James, and then he presumably follows them to the train car. That's how he finds that group of people. It's because he's following Laura. Well, now that he doesn't have Laura to follow, what's he doing? Where's he going?
Right.
And if he's following Laura, does he follow Laura into the next time stream?
Ooh, that's yeah. We
You
don't
know,
know.
does he become Laura? I mean, I don't. Yeah, I mean this leaves Bob like unattended, which
Yeah.
is not good.
So yeah. Even though we saw Bob presumably die earlier in this episode, because of this
He died in 2017. He didn't
ex,
die in 1989.
right, exactly, this alternate timeline, he's still around.
Hmm.
And yeah, if he jumps tracks and goes to the alternate timeline, we could
Right.
potentially see another confrontation.
Yeah. Exactly. And so that's Bob unattended is not
Right.
good,
Right.
because he could. Um,
Well, and if the timeline's altered so that hey, maybe those events didn't happen, maybe he doesn't die.
yeah,
Like
that's the thing.
all that's wiped out.
Or maybe he's still around and we don't know where he is. I mean,
Right.
that's how Bob is still carrying on. Maybe Bob is still out in the woods. I don't know.
Yep.
But that leaves Bob wide open for being unattended, and that's not what you want when it comes to Bob.
I'd stay away from mirrors, everybody, just in case.
I'd stay away from mirrors, ceiling fans,
Yeah. And
convenience stores.
don't look at the end of the bed either.
No, no.
Windows. Stay away from windows.
Your dad.
Yeah. Yeah. Stay away from your dad.
I feel like Stefan from Saturday Night Live
Right.
right now. Like, this club has everything: mirrors,
Nice.
windows, ceiling fans. My dad.
Nice. Nice. Bill Hader would approve. That's awesome.
I hope so. I hope Bill Hader
Yeah.
knows I'm trying to do him justice.
That's great. That's great.
I love me some stuff.
Oh, one other thing we forgot about this episode. The credits end with "In Memory of Jack Nance."
Yes, yes.
So I was glad of that because Pete Martell was one of my favorite characters from the original series.
Pete
So
Martell was great, and Pete Martell was one of the first discrepancies I remember finding
Right.
in the Secret History of Twin Peaks, because
Right.
in the article in the Twin Peaks Gazette, in the like the society section, when they're talking about Catherine Packard finally picking it, sorry boys, she's taken, kind of thing. They're talking about how Pete Martell is more of a rugged type,
Yes.
and they say something about how Catherine Martell is chess and he's checkers, and it's like,
Right.
no, he's actually a chess champion. No, he's totally
Exactly.
chess.
Yeah, he's
He's
totally.
totally.
Yeah, she's more maybe backgammon or something.
Oh, she's totally backgammon.
Yeah.
Yeah, backgammon and like gin and tonics. That's
Yeah.
totally her.
Yeah.
So.
But so you brought up the discrepancies in the Mark Frost's first Twin Peaks book, The Secret History
Mhm.
of Twin Peaks. So those discrepancies, given now what we know about alternate timelines,
There you go, sport.
are those discrepancies actually maybe because of diverging timelines?
That is probably.
Are we dealing with like, alternate realities in play?
And how long have we been dealing with that?
Right.
Because if Cooper did his diverging timeline, it starts in 1989,
Right.
and we're talking about discrepancies from long time ago
Well, we don't
that
know,
we're seeing.
well, just because, hey, Cooper was able to travel in time, who's to say something else wasn't able to travel in time?
Right, and if we think about what Andrew Packard's been through and what the Milfords have been through and how they're so prominent in the town,
Right.
their lives are, their lives are touched by a lot of people. And has Jerry done this before? Like, is Jerry being naked in Wyoming? Is that causing some sort of strange thing? I mean, has he been on these sort of Vision Quest type
Things before.
excursions before? Yeah. So
I
you don't
think
know.
I'm
This
high!
never gets old.
Never gets old, does it?
So that's the thing, because we have the discrepancy with Pete Martell being checkers instead of chess. We have the discrepancy of the log lady's mark on her leg. We have the discrepancy of how um, Hank and Nadine get together.
Right. I think the checkers and chess thing could be just because it was just someone describing Pete.
It's a shitty newspaper. I mean, let's admit it.
Exactly, exactly. It's not the best newspaper. It's not the
Right.
Wall Street Journal or whatever. So yeah,
No, no, no. It is not a bastion of
it's not the New York
investigative
Times.
journalism or
No,
anything like that.
no.
Yeah, it's not the Washington freaking Post. Thank you very much.
Yes. So
Um,
so yeah. So needless to say, and we know that Dougie was in charge of it. So
yeah,
Dougie Milford, I should say,
yeah, Dougie Milford,
not Dougie
not
Jones.
not Dougie Jones.
Yeah,
Um,
different Dougie.
but you know what I'm wondering?
Yeah.
Have we talked about this before? But I'm wondering if Jones is an homage to David Bowie.
Oh, could be.
Because those of you who
Because
don't know,
his
David Bowie's
real
name is
name is
actually David
David
Jones.
Jones. Yeah, and
But at the time he got famous, there already was a David Jones, and he
yeah,
was one of the monkeys.
right, Davy Jones. So yeah, yeah, he developed that stage name, David
He
Bowie.
did. David Jones, by the way, has a son named Duncan, who is a director and went to Worcester
Really
here in Ohio. Yeah,
interesting. Did
that's
not
where he
know.
went to film school. Was
I
Worcester?
d- I did not know that.
Yes, he did. Yeah, Duncan Jones. He directed most recently. I think he directed the World of Warcraft movie.
Oh, okay.
So
All right.
he's an up and comer of the big budget sci-fi epics.
Nice.
So
That's cool.
yeah.
I didn't know that. That's awesome. All right. So big episode. Obviously, we talked a lot about it.
Hmm.
What's your rating?
Oh boy. See, this is a tough one because
Yeah.
it opens so many. It puts all the worms back in a can,
Right.
and then it opens a case of worms.
Yeah.
So
Which is one of the reasons I really like this episode.
I really like it too. I really like it too. I am probably going to give it 9 out of 10 shoe keys.
Very nice. Well, I'm gonna probably shock you here. 10 out of 10 from me. I really
Hmm.
enjoyed this. I love the fact that yeah, we got stuff wrapped up. There was a whole lot of stuff going on. I love the bit with the alternate timelines because it's just
Hmm.
the story potential from this. It could this at this point. I mean, if they wanted to do more, they may never do more. But if they do
Mm-hmm.
more, this could go anywhere at this
Can go
point.
anywhere.
And
My
I
problem?
love that.
Well, 10 out of 10 what, Charles?
10 out of
Before I tell you
10.
my problem.
Yeah, 10 out of 10 pictures of Laura Palmer stabbed repeatedly with a knife.
I here's where this episode loses a point, and the part 18, the next
Yeah,
part of this finale, is going to lose a point for me as well,
right.
for the same exact reason. Who's my favorite character on Twin Peaks?
Why, that would be Audrey Horne.
Yeah. Spoiler alert: we're done with Audrey Horne.
Yeah. We
She's
wrapped that up in the previous episode. So if you want to,
she is right. She's trapped somewhere.
yeah, go
and
listen to
that is
episode
upsetting.
19 where we talked about we wrapped up the Audrey Horne storyline.
Yes. Yes. Episode 16 of the show, our
Yeah,
episode 19,
yeah,
she is still trapped somewhere, and that is very upsetting to me.
right. Well, there's a lot of
So,
stuff that's left hanging in this. Again,
but that's a big one for me.
yeah, and again, it's the kind of the way we were left at the end of the original series finale with Cooper looking in that mirror, seeing Bob's reflection,
Hmm.
and with our fists toward the heavens, going, "No!
A screaming, ah!
How could you do this?" So yeah, David Lynch doing it on several fronts this time.
Yeah, he got us again,
Yep.
big time, big
And we
time.
haven't even talked about the final episode, part
Oh
18
my
yet.
God. Oh,
So
strap in, because this is
strap
a
in, we're
bumpy.
going for a ride.
Seriously. Oh man.
You hold on, Dr. Jones, we're going for a ride.
Hang on, lady. We going for a ride.
That's it, you lady. Yeah, thank you. I just like saying Dr. Jones.
No time for love, Dr.
No
Jones.
time for love, Dr. Jones.
God, such racist stereotype.
It was, but the kid was cute, so I
The
like
kid was so much
I
better as Data, though. I mean, come on.
he was, but I like Short Round, so
Yeah,
yeah.
that movie has two good scenes:
Okay.
the bugs and the monkey brains.
Uh, yeah. Well, I also like the the Molaram chant over and over again. Just like I like that.
Eh,
Yeah, I know. I like
eh,
that.
eh,
Yeah,
that whole
it's my
that whole thing
I mean,
over the top.
at the time it was my least favorite, and then Spielberg and Lucas were kind enough to give us Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which became my new least favorite.
I would watch that any day of the week over
Really?
Temple of Doom. Absolutely.
See, the Crystal Skull's my least favorite because it's essentially Indiana Jones and the X-Files.
What's wrong with that?
The first X-Files movie. It's the exact same ending as the first X-Files movie.
Well, yeah, okay, yeah, that's true, and it's basically every episode of Ancient Aliens that we've ever seen.
Right, right.
But
But yeah, so that's my main beef is that
but
hey,
what
it
happens?
ripped off the X-Files movie.
What happens at the end of that movie?
Yeah, you get a marriage scene. I know that.
Yeah, you do,
Yeah.
which is awesome. And
And
you
thankfully
get take,
we didn't get Shia LaBeouf picking up Indiana Jones's fedora.
I will give Shia LaBeouf this: way better imitation of Marlon Brando than Michael Cera.
Well, that's not hard.
I mean, Michael Cera wasn't bad, but it just was
Michael Cera as a brand or Wally Brando
Mm-hmm.
is essentially just Michael Cera pretending to be Wally or Marlon Brando.
Well,
It's not doing Marlon Brando. He's doing Michael Cera as
and the thing about this is that the scene in Crystal Skull where they're trying to tell you about
right,
he's sort of a Marlon Brando type
right.
character, wild one character for for those of you who'd be smacked in the face with it. It's very subtle. It's the shot of him on the motorcycle with the same look, same
Yeah, I
hat,
know.
same
It's
jacket,
that whole on the waterfront thing. Yeah,
and it's over in like a second.
yeah. As
Whereas
with the
with
smoke
Wally,
with the smoke billowing in, and
Mhm.
yeah. It's
as with Wally, it goes on way too long. Wally is. I'd rather watch Sweeping because at least the music's good.
yeah. Now, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull does get a point from me because it's got John Hurt in it.
Yeah, it does.
and
The late great John Hurt.
and the late great John Hurt, who is in like also in Alien with
Yep.
Harry
Harry Dean Stanton.
Dean Stanton, which brings us back full circle to the beginning of the episode.
To the beginning of the episode, yes.
See what I
And
did
there's
there?
just something about Harrison Ford, I think, just really kills it with that line where he's just trying to get John Hurt to come back because, John Hurt's in that daze and he's right in his face. He's like, they're going to kill Abner's little girl. You have to help us. And I'm just like, oh my God, that's right. All these people have known each other forever.
Yeah, it's like it was like their little social circle.
Exactly. And I love Karen Allen.
Well, yeah, that goes without saying. Karen Allen, her smile just lights up the room, and it's
I don't even remember what episode of what podcast this was, but I was listening to a podcast, and it was probably The Moth or of This American Life or something like that, where this guy is talking to his daughter about his love life, and she says, "Do you have a new girlfriend? No. Is it one of your ex-girlfriends? No. Is it that freckly one who was in Indiana Jones?" And I'm just like, oh, okay, apparently this guy dated Karen Allen.
Hilarious.
Is it the freckly one who was in Indiana Jones?
The freckly one, that's great.
Which I thought was so great.
That is great.
But yes, Karen Allen is in one of my favorite Christmas movies too. She's in Scrooged.
Yep.
So, but yeah,
and of course Animal House.
Totally Animal House.
Yeah.
You effed up. You trusted us.
It's not going to be a toga party. It's an orgy. Or it's not going to be an orgy. It's a toga party. That's it. That's right. I'm sorry. I transposed the line.
I gave my love a cherry. It had no seeds.
Okay, we could quote Animal House all day too.
Yes, we could.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I would take that any day over that. But yeah. So right. Episode 18.
Yeah, next time. Yeah, next time I go with here we are. We're gonna wrap the big wrap up. Part 18 next week. The series finale. At long last, you've been very patient with us, but we finally got there. Obviously, we couldn't do both of these episodes because there's just so damn much to talk about.
We've already taken an hour and 45 minutes to talk about this episode.
Yeah, exactly. So we should just wrap this up. So Xan, with that in mind, where can they find you on the interwebs?
Twitter at Udinax19 and Instagram at Udinax19 and the Facebook at Xan Sprouse. What about you, Charles?
Of course, at Charles Skaggs on the Twitter machine, at Charles Skaggs on the Instagram, Google Plus for all you crazy kids in the Google Plus, Facebook, of course, Charles Skaggs, and then my blog and geeky things.
Damn good coffee. And hot.
Cooper when he was young and rather foolish. So yes, damn good coffee and hot, where I talk about Ghostwood and Twin Peaks and all kinds of comic book sci-fi goodness. And then my other two podcasts that I do, Next Stop Everywhere, the Doctor Who podcast, what I do with Jesse Jackson, and the Phantom Zone podcast that I do with Karen Lindsay, and where we talk about comic books on TV as we finally start up our fourth season on Phantom Zone, where with this week as we're going to review the Gotham premiere, which I'm missing at the moment, but it's on the DVR, so no big deal.
Thank God for the TiVo.
And then we're going to talk about a few more episodes of The Defenders as we head into our fall season with shows aplenty. So
shows aplenty, indeed.
Shows aplenty. So yeah, The Walking Dead's coming back and all kinds of other stuff. So yeah, lots of stuff to talk about.
Yep.
So please check those out. And if you want to drop us a line here at Ghostwood, you can reach us at @GhostwoodCast on the Twitter machine. Or you can email us at ghostwoodpodcast@gmail.com. We still don't have any comments about what you guys thought of the series finale. So I'd like to read some of those if possible.
Me too.
Or Xan would like to read those. So please send those along because we'd love to hear from you. And then you can also reach us on our Facebook page, Ghostwood, the Twin Peaks podcast. Please like us and or follow us wherever possible on those social media device things. and also subscribe to us on iTunes and rate us. That would help. It helps people find our show, and then we have to start thinking about what we're going to talk about after Part 18.
Oh, I've got plenty of ideas for that.
Is there an after? I think there's an after.
I think there's an after. Absolutely, there's an after. If nothing else, we can turn this into just a David Lynch fest. You know,
where we review Blue Velvet or
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mulholland Drive.
Which just came out on Criterion.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, just recently.
Ooh, that's cool.
And Fire Walk With Me, I think, is next month.
Yeah, we talked about reviewing Fire Walk With Me on Criterion, so.
Definitely.
So I would have to pick that up. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
That's of
course we have we met the aforementioned the Final Dossier by Mark Frost, the book. So
yes.
So we definitely obviously want to talk about that. So.
Yeah, so that's going to be a busy week for me because I'm going to have to read that book and I'm going to have to watch the new season of Stranger Things.
Yes. Yeah, it's going to be a very busy Halloween for Xan.
Yes.
And myself as well.
For sure.
So, yeah. So, because I'm going to want to pour right through that Twin Peaks book as well. And I'll be like, Stranger Things. Ooh, Twin Peaks book. Stranger Things, Twin Peaks book.
Yeah, exactly. While it's buffering,
yeah,
I'll read the
right there. You go. So
the Final Dossier.
Yeah, as you're like in between episodes, as you're doing your binge watching, you can flip through. Like, okay, I can read about another page, and then yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So I don't know how much progress you're going to make on that book, but at least while you're burning episodes. So.
Oh yeah, heck yeah.
All right, so that's it. Come on back for part 18 next time. And we'll be right here trying our best to help you understand it as we try to understand it. Right here on Ghostwood, the Twin Peaks podcast. Bye, everyone.
Bye.